So, John, tell me about these Blue Heat tortilla chips.
Ah, yes.
What on earth? What is these? Are these blue flavor?
They're called Takis, Takis. And sometimes, I don't know, Rob, I don't know where my teenage son comes up with these snacks that he wants, but I think this is, I don't know if he's seen these things on YouTube or I don't know where he's finding them, but I think it's a gamer thing, maybe. That's what I'm going to guess. But they are these tubes that are made out of some kind of corn. So they're a corn snack, like a tortilla chip kind of, although I wouldn't say it exactly tastes like a tortilla chip. And these blue, and they're dyed blue, so they're bright blue, like, electric blue chips. And the flavor is, all I can describe it is fake lime and heat. So it's a little bit like, I don't know, maybe like the heat from a Dorito, a little bit of that kind of taco flavor.
Yeah.
Right? And fake lime, like those tortilla. I don't know if you have those tortilla chips in the UK that have the fake lime salt on them or something.
Yeah, we have some that allegedly taste like lime. I'm not a massive fan of that. It doesn't taste great. But,
no, it's because they're not using limes. They're using some kind of weird acidic thing that tastes like a lime. But yeah, that's what they are. And I tried one, and I'm never going to touch them again ever. They were pretty gross. But
yeah, I'm on their website now.
They're made in the USA.
The manufacturer, Barcel USA, I guess, is the manufacturer. But I'm looking at these Takis. Is it Takis or Takis? I don't know. Yeah,
I think so.
They also have this nitro flavor one, which it sounds nice. And I know for a fact it'll be terrible, but it says 1 part habanero, 1 part lime, 1 part hint of cucumber. And I'm like, I really want to eat these. And I know they'll be bad, but I would buy them if I saw them.
There's nothing, you haven't lived, Rob, until you've tried artificial cucumber flavoring. You really need to dive into artificial cucumber flavoring. Yeah, Calvin told me that there was another version of these that were much hotter than the ones I tried, because the blue ones were quite hot. Surprisingly, for what I didn't really expect something blue to be really spicy, but it was. And
yeah, I can see it here. They've got the Takis Fuego, and it says like eating fire is the description. So, I mean, that sounds terrible. I feel like this is kind of an aside, but like there feels like there's this thing where it's like you can have like spicy food that tastes really nice,
right?
I have some habanero hot sauce that I bought recently, and it's hot, but the flavor is still nice,
right?
But then I think you get products like this where it's like, oh, we've just got to make the hottest thing in the world, and they chuck all of the different chili peppers and habaneros but there's no actual flavor there. Like, it's not.
No, it's just hot.
Nice.
It just burns your mouth.
Yeah, it's definitely not. There's some Doritos out in the UK at the moment, which are they're basically like the cheese ones, but they're like really spicy as well.
Right.
And I kind of like them, but they are just too spicy. It's like you haven't actually added anything to these. I might as well just have the cheese ones.
Right. Well, I think these Takis or whatever they are, they kind of start at that high end of Doritos and go up from there. Is the way that was my experience, which was if the blue ones are the mild ones, then I can't really imagine what the high-end ones here are like, because they weren't the most spicy thing I've ever had, but they were definitely on the high end of the spectrum for kind of your average snack foods that most people would have heard of or have seen in their local supermarket.
Yeah, they've got a nice range here. You've got the Fuego, the Nitro, the Crunchy Fajita, which apparently is this how you find out what Caliente tastes like? So...
Oh, Crunchy Fajita. It's got real spicy beef flavoring. I don't know. It's pretty gross. But anyway, that was the strangest snack food that has come into my house in a long time. And it just kind of came out of the blue because Jennifer was out shopping and got a text from my son who asked specifically for these things. And they just happened to be where she was. So
there you go. Definitely, you were absolutely right. It's definitely like a YouTuber or a streamer.
Yeah. He saw this somewhere online. I'm totally convinced.
it kind of reminds me of the same thing of like the the different Mountain Dew flavors they did years ago, where it's like it's more of like a meme than anything else. It's like, oh, there's this blue flavor, or whatever. It's like some weird.
Or like the pizza from episode 1 of Ruminate, the pizza with the cheeseburgers in the crust. Remember that?
Yes, I do. I absolutely do.
That's where we got started on this. All right. Well, you've been playing some video games. What have you been up to?
Yeah, I finally found some time to actually sit down, and I looked at all my games that I have, and I was like, I don't know what to play. But I got Control recently, the PS5 version. That was one of the PlayStation Plus games for free, I think like last month or the month before. And I've been meaning to play this game for a while. Like you mentioned playing it on the streaming with the Switch a few episodes ago, whenever that was. But yeah, I've been having loads of fun with it. Like
it's a really good game.
Yeah, I really got lost in it. Like I think I played it like 7 or 8 hours over the weekend. I've hit a wall now. Like the difficulty ramps up quite quickly on one of the missions. And I think I've attempted this boss like probably 8 or 9 times, and it got to the point where I just had to put the controller down and walk away.
Yeah, you get to that point where it's just like then it becomes no fun, and you're probably better off because you'll go back in a couple of days and you'll probably figure it out right away.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go back to it in a couple of days, as you say, and try it probably at the weekend. But I'd also looked if there was any difficulty settings, and there's no like game difficulty. But what I didn't realize is under accessibility, that's where they've put what they call the difficulty settings, so you can adjust a bunch of different things. So it's not like a fixed like easy, medium, hard, or whatever. It's like you can adjust certain things. You can even go to the extreme and just be invincible. If you just want to play through and play the story.
Right.
I probably won't go that far, but I'm going to give it another go at the weekend. If I can't get through it, I'll probably just adjust, some of those settings so that I can actually get past this, because I'm really enjoying the story as well. So,
oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's a really neat game. I think that maybe video games, at least some studios, are starting to get smarter about difficulty levels and doing it in a way that's not designed to shame people into not doing the easier modes, and to just make it fun for people who have different abilities, which I think is really what they should be doing in the first place. I mean, they obviously want to sell more games, and if they make their games so hard that nobody could, that a significant number of people can't complete it, that's not really a good way to make a game. So, I guess Ratchet and Clank, I think, has the ability to slow it down really significantly, and I think they're doing it as kind of pitching it as accessibility, but it's really accessibility for anybody really who just maybe doesn't want all that stuff coming at them quite as fast.
Yeah, I think one of the nicest ones I saw, or sort of the best one I saw, I think it was at the beginning of God of War, where you choose the difficulty, and it's not, do you want easy or do you want, extreme or whatever. It says like, this mode is, I just want to enjoy the story.
Right.
I want a little bit of fighting, I want a lot of fighting, or I really want a challenge. So it doesn't, like you say, it's not shaming people into, feeling like they shouldn't put it on easy mode. Like, I don't care. I will put things on easy mode if it's just getting too frustrating. I will do that.
Right, because it's something. It's either put it on easier mode or you just abandon the game, and that's not really good for anybody.
Right, exactly. And I think if I wasn't enjoying the story as much, I'd just go, oh, do you know what? It doesn't matter. There's plenty of other games, but I am actually quite enjoying it. So I'll try again. And like I say, I tend to move stuff around. Like sometimes I think Horizon Zero Dawn was one of these where I think I adjusted it down at one point because I couldn't get through, but then I put it straight back up again because I thought, okay, well, I've got through that, but the rest of it was kind of fine. And then I think, just enjoy games however you want. Like you say, the really hard extreme games are like, that is a very specific genre in and of itself. Like there are people who that's the kind of game they love. Like they don't want a game that's even on the hardest difficulty is too easy for them. Right. So there's definitely a market for it, and they keep making these games like, Dark Souls and what was the ninja, like Sekiro, I think it was. That's another one that was like quite hard. But yeah, like you say, I'd much rather see some difficulty settings because I'm not I'm not interested in being that frustrated or putting in a lot of time into just trying to get good at a video game that I'm going to put down once I finish it anyway.
Right. I forget. Have you played Returnal?
No, we mentioned it last time.
Remember,
I think I've decided not to, at least for now.
I see. That's right. That's right. I remember now.
Because of the difficulty that I'd sort of seen in some of the reviews now.
Right.
You know, maybe it becomes the free game at some point on PlayStation Plus, or maybe it drops in price and I might pick it up then, but I'm certainly not in a rush to pick it up now, especially because we're 2 weeks away from Ratchet and Clank.
Right. Oh, that's a good point. And I've also heard it's pretty stressful. If you don't want a stressful game, it's not a good one to have because it's just kind of creepy.
Right, exactly. I'm not sure. Like I say, I might pick it up, you know, when it comes down in price or if it's in sale or something like that.
Sure.
But, yeah, I'm not in a rush right now.
Yeah, I'm actually not really playing much of anything lately. I mean, I'm kind of waiting for some of the stuff to come out on Switch. I'm looking forward to some of that. I mean, I saw that there's new Pokemon games that were announced today. So in terms of release dates and stuff. So I don't know. I've been kind of taking a break, and I'll probably get back into it soon. I just need to find the time to do it on maybe this weekend.
Yeah, well, I mean, speaking of the PS5, I finally filled up the hard drive. I say finally. I've not actually played that many games.
I think this is pretty common. I've read a lot of people filled up that internal drive very fast.
Yeah, and I think actually the part of the problem as well is the PS4 games are actually bigger than their equivalent PS5 games.
Oh, interesting.
Because of things, I don't know, technical things, compression, all sorts of stuff like that. So, you know, I think you have like 660 gig of usable space. Mm-hmm. And I sort of hit that limit, and they've added the ability now to... You can't play games from an external, or you can't play PS5 games from an external, but you can transfer them between the internal and the external.
Right.
And you can play PS4 games from an external drive. So I had a little look around. I was like, you know, what are the best ones? Because there's a bunch of, you know, there's loads of articles that are like, these are the ones we tested and stuff like that. I think the best one was a Western Digital one, but it was about twice the price of the Samsung one that I've ordered.
Yeah, you got a T5, it looks like.
Yes, Samsung T5. I had to get the black. I couldn't find anywhere that was selling the terabyte one in a decent color. So I've just gone with boring black.
Yeah, no, T5s are really good. I've got a T5 and a T7 actually. And I actually use these things for when I do Mac OS reviews because they're pretty fast. And you can run Mac OS off of them without any real, you know, any issue in terms of the speed. So that's what I use them for mainly.
Yeah. So I mean, like you said, the T7 seemed good as well. Again, obviously the price jumps up quite a bit.
It does, yeah.
For the terabyte one, and I wasn't. You know, I'm willing to spend the money, but for the most part, this is just going to have PS4 games on it, and. In all honesty, like a lot of people have reported that even just using a normal spinning hard drive for PS4 games on the PS5 is fine.
Yeah, it's because because they load all that stuff into memory as it is anyway. So all it would probably be would be load times more than anything else where you'd see the difference, I would think.
Absolutely. So this came in at about £100 or something. It's coming tomorrow, I think.
Oh, that's a good deal. That's a pretty good deal. I mean, because the T5, I guess, has been out for a couple of years, and I think it's USB 3, and then I think the T7 might be, I want to say Thunderbolt, or it's 3.2 USB 3.2.
It's 3.2 on the T7 and 3.1 on the T5.
Yeah, that's what
I believe.
It is, right? Which is the difference between like 10 gigabits a second and 40 gigabits a second, or something like that. I think.
Right, but like I say, given that all I'm going to do is install a bunch of my PS4 games on it, and just play them from there, I'm not particularly worried about the difference between the two. You know, and like I say, plenty of people are using spinning hard drives and it's fine as well. So I figured, right, I'll get a nice SSD. It's kind of funny because I've bought loads of external hard drives, you know, over the last 10, 15 years.
Sure.
And I feel like I always spend about £100 on each one.
Yeah.
And of course,
yeah,
it's got progressive, you know, the first one I bought, I think was like a 500 gig external hard drive, big, like 3.5 inch, like spinning disc.
Right.
And then it was like, oh, now it's like 3 terabyte, and then it's like, oh, these 2.5-inch drives that are a terabyte that are quite nice, and now it's like SSD. But I've always spent the same price regardless.
Right. Well, you'll be amazed by the T5 just because of how small it is. It's a really nice thing to have for portable. I mean, it works with iPads and stuff like that if you have external storage needs there. But yeah, I'm like very in tuned right now with USB, the different, USB 3, USB 3.1, 3.2, Thunderbolt 3, Thunderbolt 4, all that stuff, because nothing gets you shamed more on the internet than getting the speeds or the details wrong about those things. People love to correct you about that. And it's actually very confusing because they've made it and you know what I just read actually on The Verge yesterday is that USB-C, they're upping the number of watts that can be delivered over a USB-C cable from 100 to 240. And that's great because that means for, some really beefy laptops, you'll be able to power them and charge them very quickly. However, it's going to be basically yet another flavor of USB-C that you'll have to watch out for, because I think they've said they're going to have special cables that are marked to show that they're compatible with 240s, that that you're using a 240 cable with a 240 capable device. So it just gets even more complicated. I mean, and then you overlay on top of that things like Thunderbolt, which is like a superset of USB-C, and it gets complicated fast. I actually have a Samsung X5 Thunderbolt 3 drive that I'm going to use for the macOS review this year, which is even faster. It's one of those, I forget it's those high-end SSDs that they use in laptops a lot of times that are super fast. It does like 2,800 megabytes per second for reads and 2,300 for writes, it says. I'm looking at the box right now.
Oh yeah, I can see it on the website. You've got the hard drive, and then below it is a reflection of what looks like a Ferrari with lightning coming out of it. So that they really mean business.
Yes, it's definitely that. This is a whole different line from the T series, which just look like little. I don't even know what to call them. They look like little matchbooks almost. I mean, they're pretty. I don't know. They're boring in comparison because they're just rectangles. This thing looks like it actually looks a little bit like a mouse or something.
This kind of looks like the kind of mouse that like Ferrari or Tesla might design and go, oh, we've made a mouse, and it's like this horrible flat thing that you can't actually use, but it looks cool.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of which, I tried a Magic Mouse again for the first time in years a couple of days ago. It's really a bad mouse. It's so shallow.
Yeah. It's all. I mean, it gave me RSI.
I'm not surprised.
Like in my wrist.
I tried it. I was like, this seems like it would be a really bad idea to use this every single day. But yeah, I like the Logitech mice. That's what I've been using.
Yes, yeah, I'm using my MX Master 3.
Yep, that's what I got.
I think I got the Mac version, which is like a little bit of a different color, but it's the exact same mouse, and it doesn't come with the Bluetooth adapter if you buy it for the Mac.
I know. I remember hearing this from Mike Hurley, who was very upset about it. But yeah, I didn't even know there was a Mac version, so I got the one with the dongle. The dongle actually, I gotta say that it's a little annoying to have to plug in this little nubby thing into some USB-A outlet in order to get it to work. But the latency is so low on keyboards and mice with those things that it's worth it, because I actually tried a Bluetooth keyboard recently that I was testing, a small one, and I've been completely spoiled by my Logitech keyboard because it has one of those, those proprietary Bluetooth things, and it never skips a beat. I've never had a problem with, latency or disconnecting or anything. It's super rock solid.
Yeah. The little, whatever they call it, the unifying dongle, I think they call it.
Yeah.
It is really good, and it's nice as well because I still have an MX Master 1 hanging around.
Right.
And so when the 3 runs out of battery, instead of having the cable plugged in, I just plug it in and put it to the side and just use the 1 while the other one's charging.
That's good. Yeah, I've got a 2 around here too somewhere, but I've used it for like my iPad before, but I don't know, there's something about, I like using a trackpad with with an iPad, but I'm not so into using a mouse with it. I don't know why that is, but I certainly don't need both. When I'm at my desk, when I'm working on a Mac, I use a trackpad and a mouse, mainly because if I find that I'm more likely to get a little bit of RSI from a trackpad than I am a mouse for some reason. So I like to have one. I like to have them on both sides, and then if I start feeling like my hand's getting a little tired or sore, I switch to the other one.
No, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. I used to do that. I had a mouse, and I had the trackpad as well. And then I think my trackpad broke. So I just gave up. I was like, I'm not going to spend another. I think this was right after the new ones had come out as well, and they're pretty expensive, those trackpads.
Oh, they are, yeah. All the accessories are.
So I just sort of skipped it.
You know what's really cool, too, is speaking of Mac accessories, the new iMac keyboard is amazing. Having Touch ID in a keyboard is really neat. I hope that becomes something you can pair with any Mac, but I'm not super confident that it will, just because there's some special sauce happening there in terms of hardware between the iMac and its paired keyboard. Although I don't know. I mean, it's communicating with this secure enclave chip. I just don't know if it's different on the new iMacs than it is with existing Macs.
Yeah, I mean, my guess would be, and I mean, this is not a breaking thought, but my assumption is that once we get new Mac Minis, new MacBook Pros, once the newer models of those come out, because there's some rumors of a new Mac Mini coming out.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm guessing that the keyboard will work with those ones, because my guess is they're basically going to take this iMac and sort of, stick a keyboard on it. There you go. There's a laptop, and just take the guts out of it. Here's a Mac Mini. I mean, it's kind of the same as what they've been doing anyway. With the M1 MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro, they're basically all the same computer at this point. So I think it's pretty reasonable to assume that eventually you'll be able to buy that keyboard to use it with one of the other computers that comes out.
Yeah. Did you catch my Mac Mini M1 hot take? The picture that I posted yesterday. It was
of the original Apple TV.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course I quote tweeted 9to5Mac, and I think they should send me a check, because that tweet has got 100,000 impressions. I just looked. So
well, there you go.
that did better than anything I tweeted from Mac Stories this week. So, you're very welcome, 9to5Mac.
I think I think that makes you an influencer now. I think
9to5Mac influencer. It's against my own interest, but hey, it'll work. I opened up this X5, Rob. It actually wasn't open yet, and it's bright red on the bottom.
Oh, do you know what? You're making me sad now. I don't want my sad black T5 that's coming. I wanted a nice red or the blue, but
this looks a little bit like a spaceship of some kind. It's silvery and gray on the top, and the bottom is like fire red. It's a lot bigger than the T5 though.
Yeah, that's how you know it means business, though, that it's got bright red on it.
It's like twice the size of what you bought, I think. So
I think years ago, and I can't remember who it was, I had an external hard drive, and the hard drive was designed by some car manufacturer, the case
Porsche
was.
used to do that with the Lacey drives, I think.
That is the one I had. I had Porsche design, Lacey. I think I still have it, actually. I think it's the one hooked up to my Mac Mini server. I think I still have that somewhere.
It sounds about the right place for it at this point. It's probably 6 years old or something, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's a ticking time bomb. It's sat there. It's got all my my backups of my TV and movie show, TV shows and movies. I'm sure it's going to explode at some point and just stop working, and I'm just going to lose all that.
Yeah.
So,
oh man.
But it's fine.
Yeah, well, I this is the time of year when I don't know. There's something about WWDC coming up. I end up finding myself spending too much money, which I really shouldn't do, because there'll probably be new products soon. But yeah, I'm getting ready. We are getting ready to do our annual big coverage, and since it's going to be remote again this year, we will be doing, much like we did last year, a special series of App Stories episodes and lots of articles, and I don't know, probably a few surprises along the way. I don't know for sure yet what we're going to be doing, but But yeah, it's always fun to do that. My family actually leaves town now when I cover WWDC, because I just sit at my desk for like 16 hours a day, come up to use the bathroom and get some food, usually, which is like a pizza delivered to the door. It's a pretty tough existence, but it's only a week. So
are they leaving just because it's a bit, they feel a bit sad?
They probably either feel sad for me, or they just can't deal with me and my kind of semi-stressed out, I can't help you with anything, I'm not going to even talk to you, I'm just like sitting at my desk all day. But that's kind of the way it goes. But it's only for a week. And actually the hardest part is Monday, because Monday the keynote isn't until noon local time for me. So you kind of get ready for all this stuff, and then you sit there and wait for hours before it actually all gets going. And then it's a really tough schedule, because every day really only doesn't really start until noon. So it makes for very late into the evening days. And then if it spills over into the early morning of the next day. So I don't know. It's a weird existence, but it's fun too. I always enjoy WWC.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one, I think. So you'll be getting prepped, and I will pay attention as I see fit. I think we'll probably wrap it up for today.
Yeah, I think we will. And then we'll probably not be back for 3 weeks, because 2 weeks from now is the middle of WWC, and I think I'm going to be kind of tied up that week. But we'll plan
fine.
on.
I'll allow it. Absolutely.
All right, sounds good.
All right, speak to you later.
Okay, bye.